Okay? Hear me out. Real quick, you can answer. What's the difference between the white belt and the black belt? What's the difference in regards to this? What's the difference? What makes a black belt roll completely different compared to a white belt? Yes. It's pretty much like, have you seen a movie so many times that you know the lines of the movie? Anybody? Is there a movie that you can tell the lines as you watch the movie? Why can you do that? Because you've done it a lot, correct? So the black belt has seen that movie many, many times. So it's the ability to recognize patterns. For example, a white belt, when somebody grabs them, in their mind it's just chaos, it's desperation. I need to get out. I need to survive. I can't breathe. When a black belt is in a bad situation, we start recognizing patterns, options, decision making, and we don't get frustrated. We don't get desperate because we've been there before. Does that make sense? So the recognition of patterns in Jiu-Jitsu is the number one thing that we need to start taking and teaching and experiencing. Because, for example, if somebody gets me in an armbar and I tap, a white belt will be like, oh, I got caught in an armbar. An experienced person is going to be like this. Oh, the person isolate my arm, and then my arm was exposed, and then I got into the armbar. The master, the person who is extremely experienced, they're going to start with, the moment I detach my elbow from my body, I make myself vulnerable. The guy followed that pattern, took advantage, adjust, and progress, and I didn't break the pattern early enough. I end up in the armbar. It's three different perspectives in the same situation. Can you understand that? In life goes the same way. Let's translate that to life so we can teach our students how they can apply Jiu-Jitsu to their own life. Oh, I have no money. Well, hold on. It always started with bad budgeting, bad control of your bank account, making decisions of purchase that maybe should have happened. So when a surprise expense, like an accident or something, your heater broke, shows up, now yes, you're not gonna have money because you didn't budget right. You didn't work your pattern right. You can apply that to your job, to your business, to your relationships. For example, a misunderstanding can go into resentment, can go into arguing, can go into damaged relationship. Okay, so a lot of times people go like, oh, I have so many problems in my life. It's not that the person has a lot of problems. The people are going through the same patterns. And when you go through the same patterns, you're going to get the same results. So when you're able to recognize the patterns, such as in relationship, like misunderstanding, pause, ask questions, get better understanding, healthy relationship. Okay? I didn't make enough money this month. Management, buying less useless things, organizing my money better, saving money. At the end of the month, I'm not completely out of money trying to get a loan. See? So the recognition of patterns in life is the same thing as Jiu-Jitsu. If I'm fighting Cody, here Cody, if I'm fighting Cody, and then I go like this, watch. So the fight he didn't magically got to my arm. First of all, I went into his guard, first step. Then I tried to go make a grip on the collar, exposing my arms, giving him all the, see the pattern I'm creating here? So a lot of the times I go like, wow, Cody's really good at arm bars. No, you facilitate it. He may not be that great. But if you follow that pattern to help him win, yeah. So the pattern recognition, who talks a lot about this in life, is that famous guy that goes like this. What's his name? Tony Robbins. Yes, pattern recognition. Everybody needs to be able to see pattern recognitions in their life, in their jiu-jitsu, in their work, in their family, in their relationships, in their school. Why you miss the entire summer? Happens out of nowhere? No. He didn't do none of his work throughout the semester. And then he had to do summer school, right? And not get to train as much as he wanted. So if you end up losing tournaments, it's not because you're not good. It started not making the right decision in the beginning. Following a pattern of not studying, not doing the homework, not doing what has to be done, and so far. So that's the number one thing. The second thing that you need to do is one, you recognize. Two, you predict. You predict what's next. Such as, if I just miss one day of jiu-jitsu, that's not going to make any difference, right? But if I miss it and then I miss again, now I create a pattern. If I stick to this pattern that I just realized, what's going to happen? I'm going to get discouraged. Once I get discouraged, I start eating wrong. Once I start eating wrong, I start hanging out with the wrong people. Then I start missing more class. Then I don't want to come back because I don't want to lose. Before I know, time has gone by, my pattern made me quit jiu-jitsu. But it all started because one day, you decide not to recognize that pattern. So when you start seeing in life, oh, I missed jiu-jitsu twice this week, you need to do something. You gotta recognize and see what's gonna be the outcome if you stay in that pattern. I was talking to one of our students here that's been doing this technique for his whole life. He's a brown belt. He's been doing it for so long. It became a pattern, but it doesn't work anymore because he's now fighting brown and black belts. So that pattern that he did for so long, for 10 years, not just because you do something for 10 years means it's going to be great, because if you do it with defect, with problem, with issues for very long, it's going to be default. Like it's going to be I would say a handicap move. And add that to your life. For example, if somebody goes and starts smoking, right? He goes and smokes for a week or so. He recognizes it's going bad. If he doesn't take any action, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, then a lung cancer can come out of nowhere. But it didn't show up out of nowhere. An arm bar doesn't show up out of nowhere. A death doesn't show up out of nowhere. It's all patterns. So it's important for you to recognize your patterns, for you to control, change, interrupt, manipulate, move your patterns. And then there's the last stage, which is be the pattern creator. If I am understanding about how patterns work in life, what's going to happen if I go to the gym 4 times a week, every week, not missing it, for 2 years? What's going to happen? I'm going to get stronger. My muscles, my heart, my strength, everything is just going to increase. If I go one day to the gym and lift weights, I can go there and try to lift as much as I can. Like Albino said, 10 pounds inside. He said, I lift 10 pounds inside. You know, if you go there and try to lift, my daughter did that the other day. She wanted to go to weightlifting, and then she did the leg work. She said, Dad, I did 200 times. I was like, that's not how it works. You cannot try to do all at once. You need to create a pattern. You need to show up every day and do a little bit every day for you to get the results. The only result she got is next day she was walking like this. You know, she actually hurt herself. It's the same thing for jiu-jitsu, the same thing for life. Don't try to get rich overnight. It's not going to work. You need to create a pattern in your life for you to be able to be abundant at the end. You need to create a pattern in your family, in your relationship, in your work, in your school, for you to get positive results. Sometimes the patterns are not what we want to do. They hurt. I always try to teach this to my kids. If you have the option to choose the hard and the easy, choose the hard. Because nothing comes out of easy. Nothing good comes out of easy. Always choose the hard path. Always choose what has to be done. Okay? So on the third level, the pattern creation, that's the experienced black belt. So the white belt, he's on survival mode. He only sees it. I recognize an arm bar. Yes, good. The purple belt, who is more advanced, he recognizes how I land into the arm bar. I recognize that, my mistakes. The advanced black belt, when he lands on that arm bar, he starts to understanding from the beginning of the fight what grip could be done different to create a different pattern for the fight to go to a different route. So being confident has nothing to do with get things my way. It's not about getting things your way. It's about even when things don't go my way, I still have control, thinking, calm, to start adjusting the situation without losing my cool. So even when I'm in a horrible position in jiu-jitsu, I've learned this years ago. I remember when somebody would sweep me, the fight was over. I remember in tournaments, if somebody passed my guard or somebody swept me, the fight was over. Because I would get desperate. Like, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world. And then I would make so many mistakes and end up getting submitted. When I understood that when I was in a bad position, it was my opportunity to be calm and try to find patterns for me to recover. What are the patterns I need to do here to get back on track? That was my line of thinking. Then I would get back on track and be back into the fight. Life is the same way. Okay, that's what I want you guys to teach to your students in jiu-jitsu and outside of jiu-jitsu. Because I'm teaching you guys with the intention for you guys to become high-level humans, not just jiu-jitsu fighters. That's what I want. And when you're able to apply this to your life and teach other people this, you become extremely special on earth. God will be happy with you, I guarantee. Because you're serving, you're contributing, you're helping people understand that it's not the end of the world. Failures. White belt sees a failure and says, I'm not good enough, I suck, I wasn't born for this. The person who is intermediate, advanced, they see the failures there. All right, where did I mess up? Now the master, expert, they see the failures as what a huge opportunity for me to improve. Because I failed something I don't know yet. Do you see the mindset? The three of them was a triangle. But how each one of them see that triangle is what differs in jiu-jitsu and world. So I want you guys to take that in today. Remember that. Try to recognize the patterns. Try to manipulate the patterns, like utilize them. You anticipate them. When you're able to anticipate, you're already ahead of the game. And then become the creator. Have you rolled with that person that looks like they can see the future? Right? Sometimes you roll with somebody, you're like, man, this guy knows the future. He knew exactly what I was going to do. He didn't. What it is he's so experienced on patterns right now. He's so into it that he can create the entire pattern for his benefit. If I attack here, he's going to defend either A, B, or C. If he defends A, I do this. If he defends B, I'll do that. If he defends C, I'll do this. So he goes with confidence. Attack. Oh, B. Boom. Right into where he wanted to. And that's what it is, pattern creation. That's where I want everybody to be at. To the point that we are creating the patterns. Not just in the jiu-jitsu match, but in our lives. In our relationships, in our work, in our school. For God's sake. Okay, he needs to graduate, I hope. And so far. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Good. Any questions? All right. Let's take a group picture. We